All right, guys, welcome to my channel. I'm sorry that we won't be able to get into a ton today. I do not know what is up with this week, but I'm just a busy guy. So I'm going to go through the SPY, Qs, Apple, and looking over at volatility for a brief moment, but we need to be paying attention to what's going on here. So I'm just going to jump right into it. I think the first thing we need to acknowledge here is the fact that the daily scale has not confirmed any kind of upside move to potentially test this high, go make a new one. You have not seen that confirmation. We are seeing a pretty good sell-off into the lows of the day, but still holding the low from yesterday. Kind of important there. As we look into a 2-hour chart, we can see that this is probably something you do not want to happen. And we'll list off those daily expected moves. 517, right? 517.95 to the upside, and we got 508.21 to the downside for the Qs here. Sorry, I'm doing the Qs first. Then we'll do the SPY, right? But we're already in it. So the 2-hour here, this is something I don't think you want to happen. I do not think you want that to confirm, because then your indicators are suggesting, especially if the MACD is able to confirm that as it's lagging behind the RSI a little bit more, I think that would be suggesting we can have some good probabilities to test the low or go make a new one. And I don't think you want to see that. I don't think you want to see that at this moment. I think this would be a very interesting divergence if that did create there, but we could look out for it. But I just don't think that's too likely at this point. But we're always open to it. So downside, I don't think you want that 2-hour to cross, which means the 30-minute early on in the morning, if we are going to see this continued downside as of right now, unless the post-market and pre-market can kind of resolve themselves, as we do get more data coming out tomorrow, we will check on that in the morning, is I think you want this 30-minute to be able to confirm back up into positive territory. Even if that means starting out the day down, you need to be able to hold up before that 2-hour is able to cross down, because that would increase the amount of selling behind all this, and you might end up seeing a lower low over on this area. So what I'm really watching for here is the 30-minute, great move up again, kind of like in the past. We were pointing that out, so we were like, be aware in case that crosses down, because that could, considering the fact that we've seen some big rip downs from here, it can mean downside. Now, this seems a little bit different than the past, relatively controlled at this moment. If you really look at that as out of this moment and you don't include what's happening in the post market, looks okay. So I think you're really just saying, hey, if this is going to be bullish, then this 30-minute curls up into positive territory. Maybe we can see something crazy tomorrow. We'll look into that. But for the most part, you need to be paying attention to the other side of things. This is not a good thing if the 2-hour turns down, and now we know both ways to pay attention to it. We can see the SPY very similar, except the SPY giving us more of a hint. That's right, it is above the weekly expected move at this point. So this is what I like to do. I like to take profit towards weekly expected moves. Usually I'm targeting them most of the time when I'm taking a trade. If I'm taking a trade at the end of the week, I might target next week's weekly expected move and calculate that for myself, so I know exactly where the options market is telling me you are likely to see resistance. And look at that, we are seeing the resistance right at the weekly expected move. Okay. Now, has this 2-hour curled down yet? No. So should we really be worried about this? Even if this drops down to our daily expected move, you got a good amount of space. If that all happens in the morning, we might just be looking at a 30-minute chart. Obviously, we do not want the 2-hour to cross down. That is the bad thing we're talking about. We could go fill this gap and turn around, but that's not a guarantee with that turn down. So 595.46 to the upside. We have 587.82 to the downside. And you almost see like a little mini head and shoulders or something in this area. I thought we would go down a little bit lower into these areas here to really create some kind of cup and handle if we were going to head down a little bit further than tomorrow's daily expected move. But still relatively well. Like, you really have to say that is relatively holding up pretty damn well at this point. It almost looks a little flaggy to me. So the 30-minute is curled down, suggesting a pullback is possible, and you guys know what I was leaning towards. I really would like to see us go retest the 5, and then that'll really help us out. Are we losing the 5, or are we able to see that rebound off of the 5? And I think that would be a big deal. That is something that I'd be watching. I'd be watching for the 30-minute to remain positive. But if we're keeping it simple, hey, 30-minute curls up into positive territory, great, but we have to be aware of the 2-hour if that crosses down, because that can mean things can get worse, and we have to understand this daily MACD has not curled up yet. Now, I did want to talk about Apple, because this is one stock that is, as of right now, outside of a monthly expected move, outside of a weekly expected move. And we're just going to talk about it for a second. So the thing about this is it looks absolutely terrible. That is a terrible bar. This is an awful weekly chart right now. It's just awful. This does not look good. You're pretty much confirming the flat divergences up here. It says it could still be a pullback with flat divergences, but that still is the weakening in momentum, and it was such a big move that it looks like you're getting a big move down from that. Now, the reason I'm pointing this out is because if you're a part of Patreon, then you know why I'm talking about Apple right now, and it's some big things around our expected moves going on here. So I want to give you some analysis on it to help you out with that, because so many people are already talking to me about it. First of all, the 2 hour. You do have a signal formed here, but it is not confirmed, and that's going to be the theme for Apple here. You do have these lower lows. You are seeing the MACD almost try to slow down a little, but look at the selling. It just continued. One big sell for 2 hours, and then that has continued. So you really have to be waiting for confirmations on these type of things to tell you that they are going to try to make a move to the upside, because you do see it on your RSI as well. It is there, but it is not confirmed. It is not even confirmed on the RSI, which would be a little bit quicker for the 2 hour. Now the 30-minute, we're talking about this as well, but I think your friend might be the hourly chart here. On the hourly chart, you were able to make some kind of triple divergence, and that is forming at this moment. So that is forming because you were closing at the lows. You need to see that reaction to really say that that is divergence at this point. That would be the MACD curling up into positive territory, the RSI able to go above that center line right there. That would tell you, hey, this does have a good chance to turn up the 2 hour. The 2 hour is telling you, hey, you do have the chance to turn up a daily chart. The daily chart is still pretty close to positive territory. But I just want to remind you one more time of the risk. You are outside of a monthly expected move. You are outside of a weekly expected move. This is the time where if you were gambling, it's like you sit there and you go, it's been 10 blacks in a row and I'm not going to see black again. And then you could see black again. That is why we are talking very seriously about waiting for confirmations and being patient. That will be huge, huge. But look at this. You cannot tell me that you cannot wait for some kind of reaction to tell you that this is going to bottom, because that is an absolutely terrible looking bar right now. It is really, really bad looking. Even though there's a reversal like showing, it's not confirmed. And if that would have confirmed throughout the day, you most likely would have seen a wick on this in some way and it would look a lot better, but you do not have that at this moment. So really just touting here, pay attention to the risk. I know you're thinking, hey, there's a 68% chance that we bounce up to these levels tomorrow. I know you're thinking that right now. And I'm just saying, just remember, this is not a 100% zone. This is a 60% zone. So you could easily end up closing down at lower levels for Apple. So I'd be waiting for confirmations and managing trades. It could be an absolutely insanely good trade setup opportunity, but it could just wipe you out. So you have to be making sure that is confirmed and then managing risk in case that goes wrong for Apple. Just wanted to put a serious note on that. Now we do see that we hit my line in the sand almost, where I was like, if we start to really break below that, we can actually see this thing get down to 1212. Notice the reaction we got. Now, were you paying attention? Because this 30-minute was showing divergence on that RSI all day. And when you go into a 15, it really looks curvy. It looks nice. And now you're seeing a big move up at the end of the day as we go into positive territory. So you have to be aware that things are turning up. You have to be aware that this is a very good move as of right now. If it just does this, if it just retests something before open, because this opens at like 2 a.m. for me, at least it does on the VIX, it will update for you. So you can go look at your chart in the morning and see if you're making some kind of lower high in some way, right? But that would mean that we're most likely opening the market down. So very interesting. One interesting thing about volatility was you had an 85% chance of seeing a down day in the market in the next 2 trading sessions. You just saw that down day, okay? You just saw that down day, potentially. That could be all you get as of right now, right? I think that, that's the stat and it called it out and it was right this time, so that's good. But I just want you to be paying attention to the fact that volatility did curl down on the daily chart. It's just not a good confirmation at this point. You are seeing dramatic downside. You're seeing it close below the 9 and the 20. Hey, that's good. And the 5. Hey, that's good. That's good. That's good. You're seeing this cross on the MACD. The only problem is it's on a positive bar and it's at the 200 where you're still keeping that. So just be aware. It just means going through this whole week. We've kind of said this, right? Just be cautious, right? Even if you're really, really bullish right now because of the move that happened, even if you're really bearish 2 days ago, remember what we said, look for the 1%, right? 1% chance that I could be wrong, and then make sure to manage risk if that thing goes wrong, or maybe take a trade set. It's just, you have to be paying attention to how you can be wrong. This easily could gap up and start to squeeze, but this easily could pull down to lower levels. So just be aware of that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I know it was a little bit on the shorter side. I just wanted to go through a couple of things with you while I had time. I don't even think I have time to make a thumbnail, so I'm sorry. And thanks so much for clicking on this with the bad thumbnail. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it, and I hope you have a fantastic night. All right, peace out.